Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are talking about keys of successful and contented life. Breaking goals into actionable steps is a key strategy to achieving success because it transforms seemingly overwhelming ambitions into manageable, bite-sized pieces. When you set a large goal, it often feels intimidating because the end result seems far away or unattainable. However, when you break it down into smaller tasks, you create a clear roadmap that makes the process feel both realistic and achievable. This method helps you focus on the steps you need to take right now instead of becoming paralyzed by the enormity of the goal itself. One of the first things to do when breaking down a goal is to clearly define what success looks like. You must understand what the end goal entails in detail so you can reverse engineer it into smaller steps. Start by asking yourself what it will take to get from where you are now to where you want to be. For example, if your goal is to write a book, you might initially feel overwhelmed thinking about the entire process. Instead of viewing the project as one giant task, you can divide it into stages, brainstorming ideas, creating an outline, writing one chapter at a time, editing and finalizing. By focusing on smaller components, the goal of writing a book becomes writing 500 words per day. This subtle shift reduces mental resistance because the daily task feels far less daunting than the overall objective. Once you've outlined the stages or components of your goal, you need to prioritize what tasks should come first. It's important to identify the critical steps that act as building blocks for the rest of the process. These foundational steps are often the ones that create momentum. Using the book writing example, the foundational step might be brainstorming ideas or outlining chapters because without these you can't move forward efficiently. Prioritizing these critical steps ensures that you focus your energy on what truly matters instead of getting sidetracked by less important tasks. To stay organized and make progress easier, break the components of your goal into daily, weekly, or monthly actions. This approach allows you to see consistent progress over time, which builds confidence and motivation. When you assign a specific timeline to smaller tasks, you create a sense of accountability. For instance, if your goal is to launch an online business, you might set a weekly schedule like this: week 1, research your niche and competitors; week 2, create a business plan; week 3, build a website; and week 4, set up marketing strategies. By the end of the month, you'll have taken tangible steps toward your goal instead of procrastinating or feeling overwhelmed by the bigger picture. Focusing on habits is another powerful way to break goals into actionable steps. Habits are the daily behaviors that compound over time to produce significant results. When you focus on building habits rather than just achieving milestones, the process becomes more sustainable and enjoyable. If your goal is to get in shape, instead of obsessing over losing 20 pounds, focus on creating habits like working out 4 times a week, drinking water regularly, and eating balanced meals. Over time, these small actions will lead to the desired outcome. The beauty of habits is that they reduce the need for willpower because they become automatic. Building strong habits allows you to make progress effortlessly over time. One of the biggest obstacles people face when trying to achieve goals is procrastination, often driven by the feeling that tasks are too large or undefined. Breaking goals into micro-tasks is an effective way to overcome this resistance. Micro-tasks are the smallest possible actions you can take that still move you forward. If your goal is to clean your entire house, the thought of tackling everything at once can feel overwhelming. Instead, break it down into micro-tasks like cleaning one room or even one corner of a room. Taking action on even the smallest step generates a sense of accomplishment, which motivates you to keep going. When you break tasks down this way, you create momentum and make progress feel easy. Another essential part of breaking goals into actionable steps is tracking your progress. When you divide a big goal into smaller tasks, it becomes easier to measure and celebrate progress along the way. Use tools like checklists, calendars, or project management apps to keep track of the steps you've completed and what still needs to be done. Checking off smaller tasks creates a sense of achievement and fuels your motivation to continue. Progress tracking also gives you a clear idea of whether you're on schedule or need to adjust your timeline. For example, if you're training for a marathon and your weekly schedule involves running increasing distances, tracking each completed run shows you that you're building stamina and moving closer to the ultimate goal. Flexibility is equally important when breaking goals into actionable steps. Life is unpredictable, and unexpected challenges may arise, so you need to adapt your approach when necessary. Breaking a goal into smaller tasks allows you to adjust the timeline or the strategy without feeling like you're failing. If you miss one day of progress, it doesn't mean the entire goal is derailed. You can simply pick up where you left off and continue moving forward. Flexibility keeps you focused on long-term progress rather than getting discouraged by short-term setbacks. Accountability can further enhance your ability to follow through on the steps you've created. Sharing your goals and actionable steps with someone you trust, like a mentor, friend, or accountability partner, creates external pressure to stay on track. Knowing that someone will check in on your progress adds an extra layer of motivation. Additionally, working with others can provide fresh insights or solutions if you're struggling with a particular step. If your goal is to learn a new language, for instance, finding a language partner or tutor keeps you accountable to practice regularly. It's also essential to recognize that breaking goals into steps is not just about productivity, but about building confidence. Each time you complete a small task, you reinforce your belief in your ability to achieve the larger goal. Success builds on success, and small wins create momentum. For example, if you're learning to play the guitar, starting with simple chords or short songs helps you feel accomplished and ready to tackle more challenging pieces later. This sense of achievement prevents discouragement and keeps you moving forward. Another powerful strategy is to attach rewards to completing smaller steps. Rewards provide positive reinforcement and make the process more enjoyable. For instance, if your goal is to write a novel and you complete a week's worth of writing goals, you might reward yourself with a fun activity or treat. Rewards create a psychological association between effort and pleasure, which can help you stay committed over the long term. Visualization can also support the process of breaking goals into steps. Picture yourself completing each step and moving closer to your goal. Visualization not only motivates you, but also helps you anticipate the actions required to succeed. For example, if your goal is to give a public speech, imagine yourself preparing for it step by step, researching the topic, writing the speech, practicing daily, and delivering it confidently. Breaking the process into visualized stages makes it feel more attainable. By breaking down your goals into actionable steps, you shift your mindset from focusing on the intimidating end result to embracing the process. This approach simplifies complexity, reduces overwhelm, and allows you to take consistent, meaningful action. Each step completed brings you closer to the goal, and over time, these small efforts compound into significant achievements. The key lies in starting small, staying consistent, and celebrating the progress you make along the way. Reviewing, adjusting, and celebrating progress is a critical part of achieving any goal because it helps maintain momentum, ensure that you're on the right track, and keep your motivation alive. Without taking time to evaluate your progress, you risk veering off course or missing opportunities to improve your approach. Similarly, celebrating the milestones you reach, whether big or small, creates a positive feedback loop that reinforces your efforts and keeps you energized as you work toward your ultimate objective. The process of reviewing progress begins with reflection. Regularly looking back at what you've accomplished helps you understand how far you've come and what still needs to be done. This reflection can be done weekly, monthly, or at specific milestones, depending on the nature of your goal. During this review, you ask yourself key questions such as: what progress have I made toward my goal? What specific actions worked well? And what didn't? Are there obstacles or challenges that slowed me down, and how can I address them? By answering these questions, you gain clarity about your current position and can make informed decisions about what to do next. For example, if your goal is to start a fitness routine, you might reflect at the end of each week on how many workouts you completed, how you felt physically and mentally after exercising, and whether you're sticking to your plan or need to tweak it to make it more manageable. A vital aspect of reviewing progress is measuring it against your original plan. When you set a goal, you often create a timeline or outline of the steps you need to take. As you review, compare your actual results to your expectations to see if you're ahead of schedule, on track, or falling behind. Measurement gives you concrete data to evaluate success, which helps eliminate guesswork. If you're working on a professional project, for example, you might measure progress by tracking completed tasks, deadlines met, and results achieved so far. This clarity helps you see patterns and identify areas that need improvement. After reviewing progress, it's essential to adjust your approach based on what you've learned. Goals rarely unfold exactly as planned because life is unpredictable and challenges often arise. Instead of viewing setbacks as failures, see them as opportunities to adapt and improve. Adjusting your plan is a sign of flexibility and perseverance. If something isn't working, ask yourself why and explore alternative strategies. For example, if your goal is to save a certain amount of money each month, but you find that unexpected expenses are derailing your plan, You might adjust your strategy by creating a stricter budget, cutting unnecessary spending, or finding additional sources of income. Adjustments help you stay focused on the end goal while ensuring that the process remains realistic and achievable. It's important to note that adjusting your approach doesn't mean giving up on your goal. It's about finding better, smarter ways to move forward. Sometimes progress might feel slower than anticipated, which can be discouraging. However, progress isn't always linear. There will be times when you move quickly and times when you encounter obstacles that slow you down. The key is to stay adaptable and keep moving forward, even if it means taking smaller steps. When you make adjustments, it's also important to reassess your timelines. If a goal will take longer than expected, give yourself permission to extend the deadline without feeling like you've failed. Timelines are tools to guide you, not rigid rules that define success. Celebrating progress is just as important as reviewing and adjusting because it reinforces positive behavior and builds momentum. Too often, people focus solely on the end result and ignore the progress they're making along the way. This can lead to frustration, burnout, and a loss of motivation, especially if the goal is long-term. Celebrating small wins gives you a sense of accomplishment and keeps you motivated to continue. When you acknowledge the effort you're putting in and reward yourself for reaching milestones, you create a positive emotional connection to the process of working toward your goal. The key to celebrating progress effectively is to recognize both small and large achievements. Small wins are the incremental steps that move you closer to your goal, while large achievements are the major milestones that mark significant progress. For example, if your goal is to lose 50 pounds, you might celebrate losing the first 5 pounds, then 10, and so on. Each of these small victories reminds you that you're capable of success and builds confidence in your ability to reach the larger goal. Celebrations don't have to be extravagant. They can be as simple as treating yourself to something you enjoy, taking time to relax, or acknowledging your progress in a journal. The important part is to pause, reflect, and appreciate the work you put in. Another benefit of celebrating progress is that it keeps the process enjoyable. Working toward a goal often requires discipline, hard work, and sacrifice, which can sometimes feel draining. By incorporating moments of celebration, you make the journey more fulfilling and rewarding. This positive reinforcement helps you associate effort with enjoyment, which increases the likelihood that you'll stick with your plan over the long term. For example, if you're studying for a major exam, you might reward yourself with a fun activity after completing a challenging study session. This balance between work and reward makes the process sustainable and reduces the risk of burnout. In addition to celebrating your own progress, it's also valuable to share your achievements with others. Sharing milestones with friends, family, or mentors allows them to celebrate with you and provide encouragement. This external validation can boost your confidence and remind you that your efforts are seen and appreciated. For instance, if you've completed a big project at work, sharing the news with your team or supervisor can help you feel recognized for your hard work. Surrounding yourself with supportive people who celebrate your progress can make the journey more enjoyable and give you the motivation to keep pushing forward. Regularly reviewing, adjusting, and celebrating progress also helps you stay connected to your why. When you first set a goal, you're often driven by a strong sense of purpose or desire to achieve something meaningful. However, as time goes on, it's easy to lose sight of that initial motivation, especially when challenges arise. By reflecting on your progress, making adjustments, and celebrating milestones, you remind yourself of why the goal matters to you in the first place. This connection to your purpose helps you stay committed even when the journey becomes difficult. Ultimately, progress is a continuous process of taking action, evaluating results, and making improvements. By regularly reviewing where you stand, adjusting your approach when needed, and celebrating the steps you've taken, you create a cycle of momentum that keeps you moving forward. This process transforms large, intimidating goals into manageable, achievable outcomes. Each step you take, no matter how small, brings you closer to your goal, and each celebration reminds you that you're making progress. The key is to stay consistent, adaptable, and appreciative of the journey, knowing that success is built through small, consistent efforts over time.